You bought something last night that you definitely do not need.
Yeah.
You know exactly what it is, too. Like maybe it's some piece of tech you completely convinced yourself would make you more productive, or a forgotten subscription that just auto-renewed.
Or one of those overpriced delivery orders you totally stopped craving before the driver even pulled up.
Exactly, just sitting in your email receipt right now. But here is the really eerie part, especially if you're tuning into this deep dive. By the end of this month, you are going to do that exact same thing like 11 more times.
It sounds like a magic trick, I know, or like we're doing some sort of psychic cold reading on you, but it's actually a remarkably predictable pattern of human behavior.
Yeah, and the math on this, when you look at the sources we're diving into today, is what really caught my attention. The average American just evaporates roughly $312 every single month.
Every month. Just gone.
Right. And we are not talking about rent or groceries or keeping the lights on. We're talking about $300 vanishing into the absolute ether of late-night impulse buys and, one-click checkouts.
And that feeling that follows is just so universal.
Oh, man. It really is. Like, you look at your banking app maybe 3 days after payday, you see a number that makes absolutely zero logical sense, and you just think, wait, where did it go?
Right, especially when, objectively that you earn a decent living.
Yeah. Which leads to a lot of, unwarranted self-blame. People internalize that missing $300 as this fundamental character flaw. They think, oh, I just lack willpower, or I have a terrible money mindset.
But the core thesis of the behavioral economics research we're unpacking today provides a very different and honestly much more liberating answer.
Yeah, we're looking at a very specific, diagnosable neurological mismatch. So our mission for this deep dive is to show you that if you're listening to this and feeling like a little bit attacked by that opening observation, don't be.
No, not at all. Your brain is literally just running on 200,000-year-old operating software.
And I want to dig into that right away. That 200,000-year-old software concept, because it kind of frames everything else we're going to talk about today. You're talking about the evolutionary environment versus the modern commercial environment.
Exactly. I mean, the hardware and software inside your skull evolved for survival on the savannah, period.
Right.
In that environment, calorie scarcity and immediate physical threats were the only constants you had. So the brain was designed to seek out immediate calories, secure immediate safety, and just consume immediate rewards.
Because if an early human found a high-calorie food source, the biological imperative was to eat it right then and there.
Right. You didn't, save it for next quarter's portfolio.
Right. Yeah.
That ancient software is glitching out right now
Yeah.
because it was never, ever designed to process a one-click checkout.
Or algorithmic push notifications.
Exactly. Or midnight flash sales. It just doesn't know what to do with them.
So our goal here is to diagnose exactly how this neurological glitch happens and then give you the actual biological tools to reverse it.
Which is the best part.
Yeah. But to fix it, we first have to understand what is physically happening inside the human head the exact second a paycheck lands or, a sale notification pops up on your screen.
And the sources point to a really landmark 2001 brain imaging study from Princeton University that maps this out beautifully.
Yeah, this blew my mind. It turns out our brain doesn't just have one unified way of looking at money. It uses two completely separate neural systems to evaluate financial decisions.
And they absolutely do not get along.
No, they don't.
They are fundamentally at odds. So the first is System 1, which is largely governed by your limbic system. This is the ancient, emotional, highly impulsive center of your brain.
Right.
Because it evolved to keep you alive in moments of sudden danger or sudden opportunity. It operates at blinding speed. I mean, it doesn't calculate anything, it just reacts.
And then on the flip side, there's System 2, which is seated in the prefrontal cortex.
Yeah.
This is the logical, forward-thinking, patient part of your brain.
The adult in the room.
Exactly. It handles all the abstract, complex planning. Things like saving for retirement, calculating compound interest, or just sticking to a simple monthly budget.
But the catch, and this is a huge catch, is that the prefrontal cortex requires an enormous amount of metabolic energy to function.
Because it's doing so much heavy lifting.
Right. Because it has to process so much complex data, it is extremely slow to boot up and make a decision compared to that lightning-fast limbic system.
So the analogy I love for this is it's basically like a corporate boardroom, right? where system 1, the limbic
Yeah.
system, is this hyperactive toddler who just kicked open the doors throwing a massive tantrum because they want a shiny new toy right this second.
I love that analogy. Yes.
And meanwhile, system 2, the rational CEO of the brain who actually understands the company budget, is just stuck in bumper-to-bumper traffic on the highway.
Yep. The CEO hasn't even parked the car yet, and the toddler has already approved the multi-million-dollar acquisition.
Exactly. When cash hits your account, or a brightly colored banner ad flashes across your phone, System 1 fires first. It's loud, it's overwhelming, and it completely bypasses logic.
It doesn't even give logic a chance to speak.
Right, so if the impulsive side of the brain is acting first, I really want to know what is actually happening chemically inside our heads when we make that final decision to hit buy.
Well, this is where it gets incredibly fascinating.
Because most of us know the basic behavioral economics idea, right? Like,
Yeah.
we know credit cards make us spend more because they abstract the concept of money.
Sure, out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, but the sources highlight this fMRI study conducted by Brian Knutson at Stanford University that takes this so much deeper than just simple psychology. We are talking about literal physical brain activity here.
Oh, Knutson's methodology was brilliant. He literally put shoppers inside a real-time fMRI scanner.
Which measures blood oxygen levels in the brain, right?
Exactly. It tracks neural activity second by second. So he gave these participants money, showed them products, and literally watched their brains light up as they went through the process of deciding to buy something.
And the sequence he found completely changes how we understand consumer behavior.
Completely. So first comes the anticipation phase. The moment a participant merely wanted an item they were shown, a region called the nucleus accumbens fired up.
Okay, the nucleus accumbens. That's the brain's primary reward and pleasure center, right?
Yes.
Hmm.
And notably, it doesn't just register the reward itself, it registers the anticipation of the reward.
Oh, wow.
This is the exact same neural pathway that floods with dopamine in a cocaine user anticipating a hit or, a gambler watching a roulette wheel spin.
That is wild.
It is. It's a state of pure chemical arousal and wanting. It essentially drives you to take action to secure the prize.
But then the researchers introduced the second phase, which was the price tag. And this is where I think the study gets genuinely crazy.
Brace yourself for this.
When the participants were shown how much the item cost, a completely different region of the brain activated. The insula.
Right. The insula is the brain's physical pain sensor.
Physical pain.
Literal physical pain.
Yeah.
If you stub your toe or smell rotting food or even experience intense social rejection, your insula lights up.
So Knutson discovered that the human brain registers the price of an item as actual pain.
Yes. So in real time, your brain is sitting there weighing the chemical pleasure of the nucleus accumbens against the physical pain of the insula.
It's a literal tug of war.
Exactly. The pain of the price tag acts as a neurological brake. It is the biological mechanism designed to stop you from parting with your resources.
Okay, but here's the part of the Stanford study that I really need to challenge, or at least look deeper at, because the researchers then changed the payment method.
Right.
When participants were told they would be paying with a credit card instead of cash, the insula went quiet. The pain signal just disappeared.
Oof. Gone.
But wait, I need to push back on this a bit. You're saying a piece of plastic acts as a literal chemical painkiller. But, I feel a massive amount of stress and anxiety when my credit card statement arrives at the end of the month.
Oh, absolutely.
That does not feel like a painkiller at all.
Well, you have to separate the timeline. You are experiencing two completely different physiological events separated by time.
Okay, explain that.
That stress you feel at the end of the month when the bill arrives, that is your prefrontal cortex system.
Mm-hmm.
Two, our CEO finally doing the math and panicking over the consequences.
Because the CEO finally showed up to the office.
Exactly. But in the exact moment of the transaction, when you're standing at the register or clicking buy now on your couch, the insula, which handles immediate acute physical pain, stays totally dormant.
Because a credit card abstracts the transaction so thoroughly.
Yes. Your brain just doesn't register the immediate physical loss of resources the way it does when you hand over paper bills. You are feeling the hangover at the end of the month, but the credit card masks the burn of the alcohol going down. The neurological brake designed to protect you in the moment is just chemically disabled.
Man, it is really unsettling to realize our natural defenses can be anesthetized that easily.
It is, and it's not just the payment method turning off the pain either. The timing of the reward also locks that rational CEO out of the boardroom entirely.
Right. Which brings us to Richard Thaler's concept of hyperbolic discounting. The sources introduced this here, and it explains so much about human short-sightedness.
Thaler actually won the Nobel Prize in economics for his work on this. He formalized what psychologists have long observed. Hyperbolic discounting is this built-in cognitive bias. Their immediate rewards feel exponentially more valuable to our brains than delayed ones.
Exponentially, not just a little bit.
Right. If I offer you $50 today or $60 a year from now, your limbic system is screaming for the $50 today, even though waiting yields a 20% return, which is incredible.
But we can't wait.
No, the perceived value of the reward drops off a cliff, a hyperbolic curve. The further into the future it is delayed.
Because to a savanna-evolved brain, the future literally does not exist.
Exactly. A predator or a disease might end your life tomorrow, so the only thing that matters is a calorie you can secure right this second.
Oh, so this explains why the dopamine hit of a $20 midnight purchase tonight feels neurologically heavier and more important than the security of having $200 sitting safely in a savings account 6 months from now.
Yes.
My brain literally cannot feel the future.
The future is a total abstraction. And as we've established, the limbic system does not do abstractions.
Now, when you combine these two vulnerabilities, the anesthetizing effect of frictionless credit card payments and the limbic system's obsession with immediate rewards, it gets kind of dark.
It gets very dark because every major tech company, every retail platform, every app developer understands this exact neurological architecture.
They hire behavioral scientists and neurobiologists to build environments that systematically trigger these exact vulnerabilities.
You are walking into a billion-dollar farm designed to harvest your dopamine.
And we see the manifestations of this everywhere, like the gamified progress bars, the bright red notification badges, the limited time offer banners.
Right.
But you're saying these aren't just like marketing aesthetics, they are functional neurological triggers.
They are precision-engineered exploits.
How do those specific visual cues actually bypass our rational defenses, like mechanically?
Well, take the countdown timer, for example. When you see a clock ticking down on a shopping cart, it artificially simulates a survival scarcity environment.
Oh, wow. Like running out of food.
Exactly. It signals to your amygdala and a limbic system that a resource is about to disappear forever. This spikes your adrenaline and your cortisol, which pushes the prefrontal cortex even further out of the decision-making loop.
So you stop asking, do I actually need this? And you start asking, how do I secure this before it's gone?
Precisely. And there is a very specific time of day when this structural design is most effective. The sources call it the danger zone.
Which is usually after 10 p.m., right?
Yes, because of something called ego depletion.
Ego depletion. Okay, break that down for us.
After a highly stressful day, after a long week of making decisions at work or managing a household or just dealing with life, your prefrontal cortex is metabolically exhausted.
The CEO is burnt out.
Completely. It simply does not have the glucose or the energy to fight off the impulses of the limbic system anymore.
So right when you're lying in bed, staring at the blue light of your phone, doom scrolling through an app, your defenses are at their absolute lowest.
The platforms know this. You are interacting with systems that are fully optimized to extract resources from your ancient biology precisely when it is most fatigued.
Okay, so diagnosing the problem is one thing, but relying on sheer willpower to fight off algorithmic commerce when your prefrontal cortex is depleted is clearly completely useless.
Oh, willpower will fail you every time in that state.
Right. We need structural defenses to survive this. So let's pivot to the mechanics of how we actually fix the glitch.
Let's do it.
If dopamine is the primary driver of this uncontrollable urge to buy, we have to look at the biological nature of dopamine itself to find a way out, right?
Exactly. Dopamine is a physical chemical in your bloodstream and your synapses, which means it behaves like any other chemical. It has a pharmacokinetic half-life.
Okay.
When that midnight urge hits and your brain is screaming that you absolutely must have this item, the worst thing you can do is try to rationally argue with yourself. You will lose.
Because the toddler's screaming too loud?
Right. Instead, you put the item in the cart and you close the browser.
You just let the clock run out on the chemical event.
Yes. You implement a mandatory 24-hour decay protocol. This isn't about sleeping on it or testing your mental fortitude.
It's pharmacokinetics.
Exactly. You are simply allowing the dopamine spike in your nucleus accumbens to metabolize and decay back to its baseline level.
And the data on online shopping carts validates this perfectly, doesn't it? Research shows that approximately 70% of items left in abandoned online carts are never repurchased once that 24-hour window passes.
70%.
Yeah.
That's massive.
Yeah. The underlying desire for the product didn't magically vanish. The neurochemical intoxication just wore off.
Right. You woke up the next morning, the CEO finally arrived at the boardroom, looked at the toddler's proposal, and threw it right in the trash.
But for that decay protocol to work, you can't be constantly re-exposed to the stimulus, which requires us to eliminate the proximity of the trigger.
This is crucial. You have to remove the shopping and food delivery apps from your phone entirely.
Now, I can already hear people listening to this and pushing back, thinking, look, if I delete the app, I'll just open my mobile browser and go to the website anyway. It's just a Band-Aid.
I hear that all the time.
So how does forcing yourself to use a browser actually solve the neurological problem?
It solves it by creating friction. Push notifications from dedicated apps are direct lines to your limbic system. They are engineered amygdala grenades. They are designed to completely bypass cognitive processing. When you delete the app, you eliminate the notifications. But more importantly, when you force yourself to open a browser, type in a URL, navigate a clunky mobile site, and manually type in your password, you create what behavioral researchers call a 6-second behavioral gap.
6 seconds. That tiny window of friction is the key.
It is the ultimate circuit breaker.
Wow.
6 seconds is the exact neurological difference between a pure, unchecked emotional impulse and a rational decision.
Because in those 6 seconds of manual typing and waiting for loading screens, your prefrontal cortex gets the vital moments it needs to boot up, assess the situation, and intervene.
Exactly. By introducing just a tiny amount of logistical friction, you essentially give yourself your free will back.
You are forcing the toddler to wait for the CEO. That is incredibly practical. We are replacing willpower with structural friction.
Which is much more reliable.
Definitely. But what about the other side of the equation? We've talked about stopping the bleeding, but the sources also detail a way to use these exact same cognitive bugs to build wealth instead of draining it.
This is my favorite part. This involves manipulating your own perception of your baseline resources.
Okay, lay it out for us.
You set up an automatic transfer, whether it is to a high-yield savings account, an index fund, or even a debt repayment plan that executes within 1 single hour of your paycheck arriving in your checking account.
1 hour.
The timing here is the critical mechanism. Not a day later, not the end of the week, within 1 hour.
Why does that 1 hour window matter so much, though? If the money moves automatically, shouldn't it work regardless of when it happens?
It comes back to a concept called status quo bias, which is another phenomenon heavily studied by Richard Thaler.
Okay.
The human brain naturally anchors itself to whatever financial condition it currently observes, and it treats that number as the absolute baseline of survival.
Oh, I see.
And it physically resists deviating from that baseline. So if you leave all your money in your checking account for a week, your brain logs that high number as normal.
Right.
When you later try to move money into savings, your insula registers it as a painful loss of available resources.
So by automating the transfer immediately, before you even have a chance to open your banking app and see the full amount, you prevent the brain from ever anchoring to the higher number in the first place.
Precisely. You are utilizing what Thaler calls a nudge. Within about 72 hours, your brain completely recalibrates.
It just accepts the new lower checking account balance as the normal, unchangeable status quo.
Exactly. You literally don't feel the pain of saving because, to your conscious mind, that money was never really there to begin with.
That is genius. You aren't white-knuckling your way to financial security. You're just exploiting your own 200,000-year-old software's aversion to loss.
You're using the glitch to protect your future self.
We have mapped out a truly fascinating biological landscape today. I mean, from the evolutionary clash between the limbic system and the prefrontal cortex to the realization that the insula treats price tags as literal physical pain.
It's a lot to take in, but it's so empowering once you see it.
It really is. We've seen how the abstraction of credit cards anesthetizes that pain, and how modern commerce weaponizes our inherent time distortion to basically exhaust us into submission.
Right.
So the urges you feel late at night aren't signs of a broken character. They are just ancient survival programs misfiring in an environment they were never, ever meant to navigate.
And recognizing the mechanics of the trap is the only way to step out of it.
Yes. And stepping out of it requires immediate structural action. So we need you to take the first step right now before you even close out of this deep dive.
Do it right now.
Pick up your phone, go into your settings, find every retail app, every food delivery service, every marketplace, and turn off their push notifications.
Turn them all off.
And do not frame this in your mind as simply reducing digital distractions. Frame it for what the neurology tells us it truly is.
Yeah, you are actively severing the direct line between a highly optimized engagement algorithm,
Yeah.
and your vulnerable nucleus accumbens.
Exactly. You are locking the boardroom doors and giving your prefrontal cortex a chance to do its job.
And, as you establish those firewalls, I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over.
Yeah, let's hear it.
We've spent this entire discussion examining how easily our ancient brains misfire when faced with just a smartphone screen and the abstraction of a plastic card.
Right.
But look at the trajectory of commercial technology right now. We are rapidly moving toward a near future where digital transactions become completely frictionless and entirely invisible.
Oh, man.
We are talking about biometric payments where just your palm print authorizes a charge, or augmented reality smart glasses where you simply gaze at an item and blink to complete a purchase.
That's terrifying.
If technology completely eliminates the physical act of paying, if that life-saving 6-second gap disappears entirely, will our biology be able to adapt?
Wow.
Or will we be forced to consciously evolve an entirely new neurological defense mechanism just to maintain our free will and keep our savings intact?
That is a staggering question to consider, especially given how fast the infrastructure is changing around us. But for now, you can take back control of your immediate environment.
Absolutely.
Reclaim your 6 seconds of friction. The next time you find yourself staring at an unnecessary item in a midnight cart, feeling that overwhelming pull to just click buy, you'll know exactly what's happening under the hood.
Yep. It's not a failure of character.
No, it's just a dopamine spike. Let the clock run out, let the chemistry decay, and keep your $312. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the systems around you and stay curious.